Hey, want to watch some anime with me? Welcome back to Solo Leveling, where I have been. I've been in very much sort of like Solo Leveling is one of those shows that's like I'm not sure if I think it's good yet, right? You know, where it's like, oh, okay, like this, it compels me. I'm interested. I'm curious. I want to know where this goes. I want to know what it's doing. I want to see how this shakes out. Um, but I also don't know if I think it's good yet because it's setting up a whole lot of things that if it can pull them off, if it can bring all these things together, all these disparate threads of narrative, okay, then we have a banger on our hands. Like then we have something interesting and special. And I don't mean that it has to pull all of this off like 100% 10 out of 10 perfectly, but like if it can just do it like halfway competently, then we've got something on our hands that's like, oh, that's shit, that's interesting, that's worth talking and thinking about. If it can't do it though, then yeah, it's gonna end up in a pile with a bunch of other sort of slightly edgy, slightly revenge fantasy-ish isekai that I just don't vibe or engage with. So I'm very curious to see how that goes. But anyway, if you haven't been along to one of these watch-alongs before, basically we're going to watch an episode of anime together. And the way that we're going to do it together is that this timer in the upper left screen, and there's going to be a still frame behind me there, showing you more or less where I am in the episode. The still frame only comes up when I pause. When I unpause, it goes away, so that I don't actually show any, moving images and get myself in trouble with copyright lawyers. So the timer is going to tell you where I am in the episode, and I'm going to give you cues and signals, right? I'm going to set the timer down to 0, and I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, go. And then we're both going to go together. And then every once in a while, when I have a whole bunch of stuff to say I can't just say during the episode, I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, pause, and then we're going to pause together. Then I'm going to talk, and then I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, unpause once I'm done, and then that's how we stay in sync throughout the episode. So, with all of that intro out of the way, 3, 2, 1, go. The animation quality of this show is a little bit all over the place, I will say. Like, the monster character designs so far have been quite weak. Hey, you didn't level agility. What the hell are you doing? The classic smoke coming off the hand. Punching a dog to death. Gouge out his eyes. But okay, so like in terms of peril, the show is like, that's the other thing about isekai, right? Like, is when does the cheat ability make the protagonist functionally invulnerable? There is a countdown timer for it. In the same way, like that's a shonen thing, right? Like a lot of shonen has essentially a countdown timer until the protagonist is functionally invulnerable. But isekai have a particularly important one, because like the moment when the protagonist's cheat ability makes them unbeatable tends to be the moment where, like, if the show hasn't established emotional and narrative stakes outside of just the thrill of the fight, that's when an isekai show will like completely lose all steam and all reason for anyone to give a shit about it, because like that's sort of where all the narrative tension drops out of the show, unless it can find a way to establish like stakes that exist beyond just can the protagonist win the fight. It's kind of like, with Superman, right? Like the least interesting question you can possibly ask about Superman is, can he beat this villain? Because like, of course he can. He's Superman. Of course he beats the villain. The question is, can he beat the villain and then also like make it back home in time to, attend his mother's birthday or whatever. Like the stakes of the narrative are different, right? Same with Spider-Man. Spider-Man's going to win the fight, but can he keep his life under control at the same time? So I'm curious to see, like, that's what this show kind of has to do. It has to establish some stakes beyond just, is the protagonist going to win? Does he have a cheat weapon already? Oh, he does. Swung a little too hard there, didn't we? That's funny. Okay, not a cheat sword then. I was worried. Hang on. Again, 3, 2, 1, pause. Hang on. Hold on. Wait, just one goddamn minute. Hang on. Did you not just establish that this guy has no idea how game mechanics work? How does he now immediately intuit that that's how game mechanics work? Pick a lane here. Like, either he has to ask his sister about how video game mechanics work and how to open notifications, or else the man has a baseline understanding of how an RPG works. You can't have both. Come on now. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, unpause. You should maybe pump. I would pump into it. Like, I would do all of my grinding. I'd pump into intelligence. Like, I'd start there. Oh, hang on. 3, 2, 1, pause. Oh, that. Okay. Another interesting thing. Like, I'm gonna shit on it a little bit, but that's interesting. Specifically that this instant dungeon thing is said to, oh, this works different. Like, this is different. This is not operating on the same rules as the rest of the world. Because, like, this is the thing we've talked about previously, is that what seems to be interesting about solo leveling is that we have this world, right, that operates on some isekai logic. Some of it, like the thing about like S-rank adventurers and all that shit, right? Like, some of it is there, but the game logic that underpins so many other isekai is not there. People can't grind. Like, there's no leveling system. There's no stat screens. There's no fucking skill tree or whatever for everyone else, but only our protagonist has access to this video game shit. I will say, making the sub-dungeons, like this, the instance dungeons, whatever, this video game separate space, I think that kills some of the stakes a little bit. I think it might be more interesting if they, I don't know. That feels a little cheap to me to do it that way. But I can see why, because this, otherwise, if he could just grind instance dungeons, then there wouldn't be a reason for him to interact with normal dungeons, and we want him interacting with normal dungeons because the story has to take him there. So, like, I can see the reason why, I suppose. it just feels a little, from a narrative standpoint, a little bit cheap to give him access to super duper special sub dungeons only for him. When the thing that I'm interested in is seeing how does he, with his video game mechanics, how does he interact with normal dungeons? So anyway, understandable, I suppose, but still. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, unpause. I like that he's essentially in a Persona dungeon, by the way, like early Persona games. Well, yeah, you might die before you. Conservation of ninjutsu applies here as well, I see. That's a lot of fucking level ups real quick. Don't go too fast. Don't go too fast. You know? If he's already like level 50 and superpower, then the tension drops out of the bottom of the show. Don't level up too fast. Be like level 10 at most. That would be smart to leave, yes. Okay, I guess he just knows game logic and he was saying that to his sister for no reason. All right. What time is it, buddy? Okay. You can just check your stat screen, dude. Okay, 15. Come on, just head like literally just head back. You like better to live and fight another day. Keep that teleportation stone in hand. Also, maybe take out a fresh weapon before you know. Interesting, like the reclamation of nature post-apocalyptic imagery of the dungeon, though. Again, like, is this saying something? Is this world building? Way! There goes your sword. Ooh, good animation on that. Stab it through the roof of the mouth when it's trying to eat you? Seriously, dude, teleportation stone. Whee! Ow. There's the anger again. There's the vengefulness. Like his raging inferiority complex. It's a good character flaw. I just hope the show understands it as a flaw. And not something that like it empowers him or makes him better. See, that's that's a little fashy there. Three, two, one, pause. See there, that little speech he's given there, right? That's fashy. That is might makes right. That is the weak suffer what they must and the strong do what they will. That's a little fashy. Just a little bitty teeny tiny bit fashy there. And actually not a little bit fat. Like this is the underlying logic of fascism. Like fascism is as a political ideology is obsessed with hierarchies. As is conservatism, but fascism puts a lot more sort of like is even more sort of dogmatic about it. And fascism has that obsession with strength and power, right? And that's something that interacts interestingly with video game mechanics. because like the way video games work, right? Like most video games, your primary means of interacting with the world around you is violence. Right? Like think of any first-person shooter. Like your primary method of interacting with the world is to shoot bullets at it until it explodes, or rockets, or whatever. Right? Like RPGs, the main game mechanic of an RPG tends to focus around the combat. Right? Like it tends to be around the battle system. And so again, it's this thing of like, I'm wondering if like there's a commentary being passed here that the leveling system that he's got unlocked here is going to enable some of all of his worst qualities, like really enable him to indulge this very, very ugly side of himself. Whereas like you can be kind, you can be courageous, you can be smart, you can be, but the only thing that matters is power. The only thing that matters is strength. Nothing else in the world matters than strength. That's how you become a monster. That's how you become a real piece of shit. Once you embrace that kind of thinking. And again, I don't know if the show is presenting it as a good thing yet. I think there's the ambiguity there that I think there's a chance, at least, that the show understands. No. This is what's happening to him right now is corruption. Like what's happening to him right now is that his good qualities are being systematically eradicated out of him by his anger, his hate, his grievance, and like the person he's gonna be at the end of his leveling journey is gonna be substantially worse than the person he started as, because he began again. Like this is the thing. Like the first 2 episodes of the show, Jinwoo was quite heroic, right? Like he was very concerned with helping other people, with saving other people, with being a fucking hero. Like he sacrifices himself to save other people. And I wonder if what we're going to see is like the process of him losing all of those qualities in favor of like he becomes strong, but it doesn't, but like he loses sight of everything that actually matters to a human being in pursuit of strength. I wonder if that's where the show is going, because if it is, that is interesting, and that's a really interesting problematizing of video game mechanics as an isekai thing. So I'm curious. Because he does swap, right, between these two sides of himself. Like, he has the side of himself that has the kindness, that has the self-effacing, that has the, like, the care for other people. And then whenever he's, like, in real deep trouble, like, when he's getting killed by that evil god, when he's fighting this snake all alone, that's when the nasty side comes out and he starts screaming about, kindness is a lie, only strength is real. Like, he becomes a Sith, essentially. So that's interesting. That is interesting. I'm curious. I am curious about, because like, if the show ends up being like, no, actually, it's cool that he got stronger and that he hates kindness and being sweet and kind and courageous. It's cool that he's just a power obsessed shithead. Then I don't want to watch the show anymore. So yeah, let's see what happens. 3, 2, 1, unpause. Just teleport stone, dude. Like, you don't even need to be here. Oh, wait, what? Is he gonna do a Super Saiyan shit thing? Oh. That was an interesting little stylistic shift. Like with the scribbly lines. That was some Trigger shit, but that was so brief. And it hasn't really shown up anywhere else. I don't know. I'd like to see more of that, but it's weird that it hasn't shown up until now, really. But okay, the show did make a point of it. He only leveled up his strength. Put some stuff into agility, though. Like, you want to be better at dodging, kiddo. Get those invincibility frames up. Oh, he's gonna be standing right, right on the train tracks. Aw, I thought it was gonna be in the tracks. That would have been funny if, like, he had to jump out of the way of a train immediately. Oh well. Well, if the rifles don't work, why do they even have them? Ooh, looks nasty. Okay, maybe I'm just built different, but I wouldn't be fucking rubbernegging something like that. Well, you can tell by their character designs that these are all NPCs. Yeah, no shit, dude. Like, several people were murdered brutally in front of her. You want to do something? Oh, we are not the same? Again, the fashion. The fashy shit. Again, I think we're going a little too fast, maybe, with the power-up shit. But I do like the change in his character design. I do like that his character design is subtly shifting there. That's cool. Because like that's the other thing. Like we've seen that in the intro already, right? Like his character design is definitely going to shift, and indeed you can see that on the key art I've got there in the background. Like his character design is going to shift as he levels up and he gets more powerful. Which again is that thing of like, okay, so the show is like there's an element of he's transforming because of this power, right? It's changing him. It's doing something to him. And what I'm wondering is what I'm curious is the show going to drive at the thing of like he's eventually going to get so powerful and become like the leader of a great corporation and be the guy who's sending low-ranked hunters to die the way that he was once like essentially sent to die? Like that's where my curiosity, that's where my interest is. how does the show relate to our protagonist? How does the show relate to his power journey? How does it relate to his flaws, to his foibles as a character? And does it see them as flaws? And the answer to whether, like, exactly where the show comes down is going to determine basically everything about how I feel about it. Because it has the potential to get, as I said, real fashy. Like, real fashy. If it doesn't handle this correctly, which is, and that's not unique to Solo Leveling. I should say that a lot of isekai, especially revenge isekai, are like not explicitly fascist themselves, but like are amenable to fascist politics. Like there's a reason why the alt-right likes to recruit from anime communities. Like something like what was it? That anime about the healer who was betrayed by the bad party, and then like it's an ecchi anime. It's like a lot of explicit sex scenes and shit. Like that one, to me, the episodes of it that I watched always had a very fashy vibe, like very much a vibe of like this, like of aggrieved intellectual masculinity taking its bloody revenge on like, especially women. Like it had a real misogynistic streak to it, I think. And it's not at all unique to Solo Leveling. Like that's also like an inherent problem of like extreme power fantasies, is that they very easily lend themselves to the idea that might makes right. Like to the idea that the strong can do what they want and the weak will have to suffer whatever, right? Like we'll just have to suffer whatever the strong want to do, which is one of the ground beliefs of fascism as a political ideology, is this thing of like might makes right. And that's a vulnerability that's shown in the isekai all have, and like they all have to struggle with that, like with that problem in various ways, and they all come up with various degrees of good and bad answers to that challenge. I'm curious where Solo Leveling is going to go. Anyway, I remain intrigued. I am curious to see more. But that'll have to wait for later. For now, thanks for watching anime with me. Bye.